For well over 2 decades, ACT elections have not been happy hunting grounds for independents. And for the past 20 years, only candidates representing Labor, the Canberra Liberals and the Greens have been elected.
And that is the power of the people.
But the success federally of the Teals and, of course, ACT Senator David Pocock have encouraged a new crop of independent candidates to throw their hats into the ring. The most prominent is Tom Emerson, the son of a former federal Labor minister and a former Pocock staffer, who has led the establishment of Independents for Canberra, a group that hopes to win 3 or 4 seats and hold the balance of power.
Tom, you've got 10 candidates, lead candidates, running in 5 electorates. That's not traditionally what independents do. That seems more like the structure of a political party.
Yeah, we're trying to use the party construct to break the drought of independence. We haven't had any elected in 26 years. My gut feeling was, geez, there's going to be an independent movement here. We've seen it happen federally, and it's so important that we actually work together. So what we decided to do was start doing that before the election. You know, the pitch is, can we get a constructive crossbench of independents who work together wherever they can, but are always free to disagree? We've set up a structure that allows us to do that.
So it's a mechanism, to kind of simplify this, a mechanism to catch the wave, if there is one, in the Canberra community for independents.
It is, and it's to prove that we can do things differently, that independents don't have to be a kind of chaotic force, but actually they can work together while also being free to disagree all the time.
The big question people watching this are going to ask is, who are you going to support after the election if you do have the balance of power, which is a possibility given the way the ACT electoral system works?
What we're hearing is that people do want to see independence in there. They want to see an independent crossbench holding the government to account. We've got conditions for our support of a prospective governing party. The first thing we'd look at is who won the most seats. The second thing is who's willing to commit to our policy commitments, which have been developed through ongoing consultation with the community and expert input as well. And the third is, does either of the prospective governing parties have policies that we find objectionable? So we're up for a good faith negotiation with whomever comes forward after the election to see where we land.
Some people will look at you and they might unfairly look at your family and say, well, you're going to back Labor. I mean, what do you say to those people? I'm sure you get this when you're out campaigning.
If any of us wanted to definitely back a specific party, we would have joined that party. There's a reason we're running as independents. It certainly would have been much easier for me to try to join the Labor Party and go through that channel. Getting elected as an independent is incredibly difficult. It hasn't happened in here in a very long time. And we've got a wide range of candidates in our group from different political backgrounds, mostly not from political backgrounds, who are coming to this with lived experience and want to see that reflected in the Assembly.
On the ground at the moment, there are people talking about how long Labor has been in power and how long the Greens have been in power in the ACT. Do you get the sense that there is an it's time kind of vibe in the Canberra community at the moment?
I think there is a bit of an it's time vibe. It's been a long time without change. You get this kind of connection between the public service and the political leaders, you know, that can become too close, and you don't get that frank and fearless advice that people talk about from a public service. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're in power for that long, you are going to become complacent and stop listening. And that's not something we're making up, it's something that we're hearing on the ground for people. So people want to see people want to see a change to the status quo. We've had the majors here for a long time doing the same things. Labor and Greens kind of working in this coalition where they blame each other for not being able to get anything done. We're keen to create some change this October, and we think that's possible with independents.
Not all the would-be independents have joined forces. Fiona Carrick, who was narrowly defeated on preferences at the 2020 election, is running her own very local campaign in her Woden-based electorate of Murrumbidgee. If her vote is key in the next Assembly, she'll ask for more facilities and community services for her area.
I'm not into left or right or Labor or Liberal. I'm over it. I just want good community outcomes, so I will support community over party politics.
Is it going to be this person is going to deliver me a pull for Woden, which I know is something you're very passionate about, or is it going to be, no, it's not just about my area, it's about what I think for the whole of Canberra?
It is about the whole of Canberra, but if you have a look at where social infrastructure and activity is, the higher education, the arts centres, the indoor sports centres, the pools, it's not in Murrumbidgee. And so I will be looking for somebody who will support the social and economic development of the Murrumbidgee electorate.
Okay, which is centred around Woden. For people who don't follow that, Just to be very, very blunt, you've been involved in community politics and groups for some time. Do you believe it's time for a new Chief Minister of the ACT?
I believe that we need change. We need to mix it up. We've had this vision for a long time, at least 18 years, and it's basically centralised things back into the city again. So I would like to see things shaken up. I don't know what that would look like, so we'll have to wait and see what the voters say and what the Assembly looks like.
Can things be shaken up if Andrew Barr remains Chief Minister?
Potentially.
Okay. What is the main thing driving you to run again? Because it's a pretty big inconvenience to your life. I mean, you've got to take time off work, and then, of course, there's a lot of time spent campaigning for this. Why are you doing it?
Well, this is my home, and I think it could be better. I think we've gone backwards with the loss of so much amenity. When I was growing up in Woden, we could swim, we could play indoor sports. There was nightlife all through Phillip. We were relatively self-contained, like the National Capital Plan says we're supposed to be with a decentralised town centre model. We were relatively self-contained in Woden. Now I find we've lost all this infrastructure. We're driving all over town to take our kids to where they need to go for indoor sports. And I just think that it could be better. It could be a lot better. And I am passionate about our quality of life and making sure that people have the best that they can, the best future.
When you're out door knocking, when you're at the local shops, what are people saying to you?
There's definitely a mood for change. People are saying it's been 23 years. They talk about complacency. They talk about the need to shake it up.
And you don't know what shaking it up looks like?
I don't know what shaking it up looks like, but I would like to be in the Legislative Assembly doing it.
Due to the lack of reliable opinion polling in the ACT, it is very difficult to know whether there is an appetite to shake things up or whether this crop will fail like others before. The fate of independence is one of the big unknowns of this ACT campaign.